welcome to ItsMoneyMark Experience. We're here today again with actually Mr. DINO Hinds. He is the CEO of MFS Group. DINO, very well known in financial markets. He's building a private equity group of companies to focus on creating value for him and his investors. DINO, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Yeah, it's great to have you.
Yeah, it's very good to be here also.
I remember you from your trading days, actually. You were with Mayberry Investments, well-known FX trader, bond trader as well. How have you transitioned and how have you really found the passion to continue in the financial sector?
Well, financing and trading has always been my passion. It's what I love doing, and therefore I've always wanted to continue in that field and to build something in that field. And that was what has kept me motivated and has led me to continue doing what I'm doing to this day.
Okay, that's good. And in your early days, even taking a step back, just getting to know you more and your personal story, in your younger days, what high school did you go to?
So I started out at St. Mary's High School, and I actually finished up at Kingston Technical High School. Okay. I was not a very good student, and therefore that's how the transfer actually happened.
Okay. Yeah. So a lot of persons don't know about you. So you are a great story, a success story of a country boy from country, St. Mary, you said? Ocherius?
Yes, St. Mary's. I actually lived in Ocherius, and I attended Ocherius Primary School. And, St. Mary's High School is a very strong institution in those areas. And therefore, at the time, it was a no-brainer to actually choose St. Mary's High School as my choice when choosing a high school. Your
family went there as well, or any alumni background there, or you were the first, in your family to go there?
I was actually the very first to go there. Okay. So most of my family went to other high schools, but a lot of my other families didn't even attend high school. But
really,
yeah.
Okay, so you're the breadwinner in the making.
I wouldn't say that, because I have other siblings who are doing well. I have other siblings who are actually also in the financial sector. I have siblings who are abroad who are doing well, blazing their own path.
And pretty big family, like a lot of siblings?
Very large family. 7 siblings on my mom's side, quite a few more on my father's side.
Okay.
We're a very close-knit family, however. So, with everything that we do, we actually support each other.
It's like a conglomerate of siblings already.
It is. Yeah.
That's nice. That's good to have. So you did the school thing. You've come to Kingston, got into the finance field, got your passion, and from a university or college standpoint, after St. Mary's High School, did you go on to university?
Yes. Well, yes. I went to. I started university at the West Indies. I was actually doing a degree in management studies. Okay. And I dropped out. And then years later, deciding to continue my studies, I did a MBA in business administration at the University College of the Caribbean. Okay.
And so you've done your MBA as well. You got your education under your belt and so. And you found you had any ups and downs, whether it was at in the days of UE, UCC, doing your MBA, any great life lessons, any challenges you had, that you could just pass on that knowledge?
Well, I tell you something. At the university of the West Indies, as a young person just coming out of high school, if you're not disciplined, then you can run into a lot of trouble. Because at the time, for me, it was more about going to student union, partying, and so on.
You're building your networking skills, which actually has worked out well for you today.
That was more interesting to me at the time. So I think coming out of a structured setting, like a high school setting, going into a university where you have to be more responsible and more of an adult, sometimes can run into trouble. So I would like to encourage young persons to kind of remain focused during that period when there's a lot of temptation.
Yes. Yeah. And do you accredit that to your success? In other words, you've really stayed as focused as possible, in your business or in the financial field?
Well, yes, and I think that even though at the time going to university, years later somebody actually diagnosed me. They said that I'm not a fan of structured learning, because even though at the time, as I said, I dropped out of university, I've always been learning. So I've always been somebody who will sit down and learn about a new strategy, someone who will sit down and come up with new ideas. and I've always had a knack for curiosity.
But you might have found kind of, as you said, structured learning
Right.
or maybe systematic classes to be a bit maybe boring or just
Yes.
not as interesting.
Right,
Right.
right. But
And many successful businessmen, I mean, some of the greatest in Jamaica's history, I mean, even globally, have actually dropped out of college or didn't even go to college.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is that even now, almost on a daily basis, I want to learn something new. I'm always the person who's going to be going on Bloomberg
Yes.
or CNBC to read up on the market, read up on new trends, find out what's happening out there. So I want to learn, and I'm always open to the idea that
Open.
I want to learn that there are
And
new
it's
things.
fascinating you say it because I think there's even a technology fund or there's a well-known tech guru now in the US worth billions of US dollars. And what he's actually doing is, I think if you win his award annually, he pays you to actually drop out of college and go on, it's like one of his grants or something, but he pays you to actually go and create ideas, create businesses, or try and create like a unicorn, you know, one of the latest buzzwords.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, there are different approaches for different persons. You know, there are persons who will excel in that structured environment.
Yes.
There are persons who that is their path to success, and there are others. So I'm not going to encourage anyone to drop out of their structured learning. But if it is that you are confident in your ability to actually continue learning and
Yes.
to actually pursue some form of endeavor, and that you don't see university as part of that endeavor, then
Yes.
by all means, take that path.
Take that path,
Yeah.
go that road. And your first job now, you finished college and everything, you did management studies,
Yeah.
but you jumped into, was it banking for your first job or what?
Well, my very first job was in commercial banking, but it was in the statement room. So actually all I was doing was packing checks, canceled checks into
Yeah.
envelopes and sending it out to customers.
And in hindsight, what led you to that? Was it like, you needed to get your first check, you needed to grow your resume or your CV at the time, or what led to the first job? Or was it kind of like a family link or you needed to get your feet wet? Or
Well, actually, it was career day at school. So when I was in high school and they had career day, and I saw the banker, and he came in this jacket and a nice flashy car. I thought, wow, that looked like a really interesting career. So the next summer,
just tweak your brain and
Yeah.
said, this could be DINO HINDS one day.
yeah. So the next summer, one of my teachers helped me to get a job as a summer job in a bank, and I actually did well. So after I finished high school, I actually approached the HR manager for the bank, and she actually gave me my first job.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you put in the effort, whether you ask the questions, but the big takeaway is you actually put in the effort and approach the person.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And did you have to do that a couple of times to get the job, or this was your first one and
No,
you got a win?
it was actually my first, the first formal approach I made to a bank.
Yeah.
I got the job because, like I said, she knew me from the summer before because I did summer job,
Okay.
and I did really well at the job. So when I came back and I called on her and I said, hey, can I drop off a resume? She was very receptive, and
Yeah.
a week later or 2 weeks later, she called me in and placed me.
And in those days, how did you kind of do it? Did you have to kind of do like a cover letter, put it in an envelope? I mean, and I don't even remember if we had email in those days, but how did you you go about doing it?
Well, yeah, I remember doing a resume because I
Yeah.
remember I don't remember doing a cover letter, to be honest, but I remember
Okay.
doing a resume,
Yeah.
and I remember carrying it directly to her office. I didn't mail it or anything. I carried it directly to her office.
Okay.
Yeah.
So real face-to-face and a personal touch.
Yeah.
It was working. Right. And you really actually continued and built a personal brand for yourself in the financial sector. So you did First Global or Grace Kennedy Group, and you also did Mayberry.
Yes, I did.
And so what led to kind of was it the stock market, was it the bond market, or just seeing customers at the bank, or what gave you that kind of spark to say, I want to continue in the financial sector? Because a lot of businessmen, they just don't get that spark, or just a lot of persons overall don't find that spark, what they love. How did you really, when was that moment when you found, I want to be in this sector and I want to know what I want to do in life?
Well, interestingly, I started out in back office, as I said. So I was in back office, did the whole operations, accounting, bank recon type of back office. But at the time, and then I left my first job and I went to Manufacturers Sigma. Manufacturers Sigma was a smaller institution, so even though I was in back office, we're all in the same building. So I could actually look in the treasury department, and I was used to look at the treasury guys and they said, those guys look happier than I am. So I wanted to get into treasury. And then after transitioning and getting an opportunity first with my first taste of trading was with Lasco Financials when they were just starting out. I was a very first employee. And you know, moving from back office, which I felt very boring, to starting to trade, actually I felt much more alive. This is what I really wanted to do. And the thing about, for me, about trading and making deals is that every day is like a new day. Every day is a new opportunity. The markets are always moving. It's not as mundane and repetitive a task as, say, accounting. It's something where you always have to be on top of the markets. There's always new trend. There's always market moving events. So I find it to be very interesting, and that's why I keep at it.
And how long did you find it took you to really, you know, grasp it? Did it take you a couple of years to really become an expert in trading? And what type of trading did you find the most fascinating, or did you excel in? Was it say the currency trading, or was it the bond trading, or was it stock market? Were you doing all three asset classes?
Well, I started out as in foreign exchange initially, and you know, the good thing is that I've always benefited from excellent training opportunities. So, you know, when I was at First Global Bank, I was sent on Euro money training, Citibank training, and all of these things, which
like international training? International training,
which has given me a lot of exposure to the international market. You know, at Mayberry, I went to, I think it's Morgan Stanley, used to keep bond school. So, you know, those opportunities have always helped me to, you know, sharpen my skills, brush up on what I'm doing. So, I mean, I would say that in terms of my trading overall, there's no asset class that I prefer above the next. You know, I don't know if maybe on a day-to-day basis I tend to lean more towards bonds or foreign exchange or so on. But in my mind, I enjoy, because what I find is that having an understanding of all asset class makes you a better treasurer, a better person to head a department and a trading team, as opposed to a trader who is focusing on one asset class. So when you're looking at the global picture, you make better decisions overall.
But it does sound like also, Dino, you really invested heavily in yourself, and continue to invest in yourself, like with all these mentions of, you know, training, and call it training schools or classes. You invested a lot in yourself.
Well, I think the company's invested in me. You know, and you know, I think that one of the things that I've always said is I've always been very fortunate to work with some excellent bosses. You know, I've worked with persons who have not only
and they mentored you,
right, and they have not only recognized that I had ability and invested in that, but you know, I've offered guidance and persons who I can look up to and learn from. So that has been a very fortunate aspect in terms of my part.
And what timeline or what year did you make the jump now to Dino the entrepreneur, becoming a businessman?
2014.
Okay. So you've been 7 years now in your new modus operandi.
Right.
And when did you get that kind of, you know, spark, or that kind of pivot to move into this new risk model?
So actually, I can't remember the year. Maybe it was 2010, 2012. But I went to the Observer Award show. The businessman of the year. Can't remember his name now. I think he actually, unfortunately, committed suicide a couple of years ago. But he was the recipient that year. He's
Golden Crust.
Yes, Golden Crust. So that was
the Patty King in New York and the Northeast. Yes.
Right. And the interesting thing is that he is from a community that is close to where my grandparents are from. In the country. So I was very interested in that entire ceremony, and then I was speaking,
and his story and everything.
His story. And I was speaking to my aunt about it, and she said something that was very interesting to me. She said, the thing is that the difference between their family and ours is that in the community, while we were scholars and our family went into the public sector and become nurses, policemen, teachers, and so on. Their family, they were the entrepreneurs in the community. So they actually were the shopkeepers, the corner shop people, the taxi drivers in the community. And when they went abroad, they had the same mindset. So I was thinking to myself, maybe I'm the person in my family who's supposed to change the trajectory of the family and develop a more entrepreneurial direction for my family, and that's when I decided that I would want.
Because you have this very strong scholarly base,
right,
which is a great foundation to have, or for any family to have. But what you're saying is, when you look at all your siblings now, so you have somewhat, is it doctors in your family, or?
I have nurses, teachers, policemen, all of those skill sets.
So the foundation continues to grow.
Right.
But you're the first one, you're saying, that has kind of moved into being an entrepreneur or creating a business.
Very first person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's a great story.
It is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of scholarly, and then you continue to kind of evolve as a family. And I know you're really creating business formation or capital formation.
Yes, and what you have found, and I think something that I'm really proud of, is that the younger persons in my family now, so nieces, nephews, my daughter, etc., they're more thinking, I would love to own a business, as opposed I would want to become a doctor or so on. And I think that's actually great step.
So the breakfast or dinner conversation is now kind of changing.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. So it's almost like not just as a dad, but almost like Uncle Dino now. Your probably family is asking you a lot of questions about capital formation and why start a business.
Yeah,
and
and how can we go about doing that, and what would be the first step, even in terms of investing in real estate. Talking about acquiring a property from a very young age. That kind of discussion and mindset is what we talk about now. And creating wealth. Yeah. Yes, building wealth.
And so it brings us to the point, and that's what you've really spoken a lot about, that's what MFS is, and MFS Group is, and what you want to create value through your private equity model. So the group, Dino, and you're the CEO there of MFS Group overall. Right. And what does a group consist of as at today?
Well, as of today, our main, we have a money services company, we have a real estate company, and we're also involved in investment banking.
So you really have three segments?
Three segments. Right. We have been, in the past, we have done much more than that, but that's what we're concentrated on now.
And when you got started, say 2014 onwards, what did you start with? Like what's the core business, or where did you start?
So we started with MFS Limited, which was money services. Right. And over the years, we have built MFS from a single product, single company, into a company with multiple income stream and various, and we were at 3 locations, but we kind of closed one and we're now down to 2. But we started out as a micro-lending company with a $5 million loan book.
Okay.
And we have grown that business into a company that offers all money services, foreign exchange trading, bill payment, remittances.
And so you're in that sector as well.
Yes.
So you started off, and it takes you back to your core passion, which is foreign exchange trading.
Yeah.
So you're in that side, the remittances, bill pay as well.
Yes.
Bill pay, and you have 2 locations, and then you said microloans as well. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
So that really got you started. And how did you go about adding on, say, the real estate arm and the investment banking arm? Did that just naturally come as you made more profits?
Well, the thing is, it came naturally, because from day one, and the very first day, because we acquired a company a little before I went fully private sector. I mean, fully on my own. Sorry. And the very first day that I resigned and I went to the company, the very first thing I wrote on the wall was "Think Big," because we're trying to say that we're a small company now, but we're thinking big. So we want to do things from day one.
Right.
And we set out a strategic plan, and our plan was that we wanted to become a true private equity company. And we decided that we're going to, even though we're small, we're going to test the model, and we're going to show prospective investors that is a model that can be done properly in Jamaica and in the Caribbean. So we went about acquiring small businesses across various sectors. At one stage, we owned as much as 9 companies. We were in manufacturing and distribution, we were in retail, we were in beauty and personal care. And our model was to acquire businesses and to actually grow them, take profit, and then to sell these companies.
Right. And so when you, and the difference with MFS, because there's a lot of private equity companies out there who have, they do have a focus. Like you mentioned a particular sectors, manufacturing, distribution, but the difference is that you've actually gone into, let's say, approximately 9 companies and bought them and sold them. So you've really realized gains. So it's not just say paper gains or unrealized gains. You've actually done it and lived it from an MFS group standpoint.
We have done it. We have bought, we have restructured, we have grown, and we have sold.
It's a great story. Yeah. And besides sector focus, what size companies? I mean, are these more SMEs? Are these large companies? Are they micro companies? But what size companies as you kind of got started?
Right. So there were small companies when we got started. So we were spending, I think the most we have ever spent at that time for a company was about 10 million Jamaican dollars at the time.
Yeah.
So, we have bought company as small as $1 million and sold it for 2 million. So, it's just actually testing and perfecting the private equity model.
And what did you find was you always hear different stories out there in the market, and the Caribbean as well, like challenges, but it's not unique to the Caribbean, globally. Do you find the back office was a challenge? I mean, were you taking a majority stake or were you taking passive minority stakes? I mean, what did you find the model was, or was it different models depending on the case?
Well, it depends on the case, because in a lot of cases we took on 100%, but we have never, I think it's only one instance we have ever taken on minority. So in most instances it's 51 and above.
Okay, so really MFS became like an active management role, active
management
board role,
yeah,
just fully activated in the business.
Yeah, and what we looked at was a lot of these companies had great potential, but the challenge was, the structure. And so with our private sector knowledge, our getting the experience in large companies, we're able to go in and to put in corporate governance structures and to actually streamline processes and to make these companies more efficient and more profitable.
Okay.
And yeah.
Did you find that they were also undercapitalized? I mean, that was a reason for the deal, or their potential was lacking because they just didn't have the resources as well, the previous owner?
Right. Some of them were that instances. Others were different circumstances. So you had persons who were looking to retire and had no successor. So you had persons who were looking to migrate, along with some persons who, because as a lender, we were a micro lender, but we actually put ourselves out there as a private equity partner who could, so persons would come to us to seek capital. Okay. Some would come to look loan, and we would offer them a different option to say, okay, and we would, with our investment banking background, we were able to structure certain deals. So sometimes somebody would come and say, okay, I want to borrow $5 million. And we'd do the analysis and we say, well, you have a good company which has potential for growth, but your company really can't afford a $5 million loan.
Yes.
So we'll take, we'll give you...
So you got your kind of pipeline through, and this is how your segments evolved on the MFS group. You got your pipeline through your debt business, call it, or your loan business.
Yes.
Brilliant.
So we would look and say, okay, we'll take 51% for $5 million. We are looking for a 2-year exit or a 3-year exit. We'll help you to grow this business, and after 3 years, you have the option to buy back 51% at X dollars. So with structure.
So you almost did like a shareholder agreement or option agreement.
Yes.
Depending on the client or the business case.
Yes.
Okay, that's and it's a very fascinating, interesting model. So you were, and was that a part of your overall strategy you found, Dino, from day one, or it's just a part of the entrepreneurial evolution?
I think it was more a part of the evolution, because when we started out, we were starting out purely wanting to just acquire in the financial space, because that's what we knew, that's what we loved, and so on. But then we realized that, there are a lot of opportunities in Jamaica, and still it is right to this day. A lot of good companies with a lot of prospect, which two things I think are the greatest challenge for them would be the management doesn't require doesn't have the full expertise and the capital that is required to grow.
And so when you talk about structure, where you bring in like business plans, budgets, I mean, just to the business overall, like building a better relationship with the bankers as well?
Business plans, budget, cash flow projections, overall helping for them to get banking relationships, helping them to access funding through development bank, to do...
Also even strengthen the relationship with, say, multilaterals or, Development Bank of Jamaica, DBJ,
right.
Stuff like that too?
Yeah, because a lot of these companies don't know like the grant funding that you can get to help with your accounting, to help with your
like even the audited financial statements, stuff like that.
Yes, yes. So we would help with that process. We would guide them, point them in those directions to help them to get these things. And when you have those things in place now, it's easier to build that relationship with your bank, to get some debt funding and to move the business forward.
And you're just adding more credibility because you have a proven track record.
Yes.
And what's the long-term game, Dino? Do you find, like when you look at, say, Cygnus in the market now, companies like First Rock, but using Cygnus where they have these different channels or call them verticals. They have the kind of the debt side, the private equity side, the real estate side. And when you look at, you're covering these different segments as well.
Yes.
Is your longer term game to look at bigger private equity companies or going concern companies, maybe cut bigger checks, and you have kind of similar verticals?
Well, I would say yes, because our main goal now is to focus. I mean, not to say if other opportunities come, we won't look at them, but our main goal is to focus on our three distinct business lines and to look at growing them both organically, but also through acquisitions.
Okay.
So, we are looking at for opportunities, because we want to grow very quickly.
Yes.
So we're looking for whatever opportunities we can out there. So we're always talking to persons. I've found that just approaching someone and saying, would you sell? Is a great way to go, because there are a lot of times persons
just ask the question.
Yeah, ask the questions. A lot of persons there, they have built good, strong companies, and over the years, they might not have thought about selling, but when you put the proposal to them to say maybe it's time
and the cash is actually ready or available.
Cash is available. They'll strongly look at it.
Yes.
So that's what our model is, to literally look at how we can acquire companies. And we think that as we go along, we'll be able to do bigger and bigger deals.
Yes.
We'll be able to do better acquisitions. We'll be able to position ourselves. We'll get more notice, and more persons will want to be a part of it.
Because your brand is definitely more out there now. There's even some vans or sometimes just pickups with a brand on it on the road. So, I mean, MFS is becoming more recognizable in the marketplace. As you said, you have 2 locations under one of the segments. So you do see your social media is a bit more active. So you do see the conscientious effort to get the brand more out there.
Yes, that's true. And I think, over time, we're never going to have a huge advertising dollar spend, because we want to become more known because of the space that we're looking to play in. Where
you mean like word of mouth? And
right.
To
actually give value to our investors and to our clients, who will refer us to others because they have gotten.
Got you. You mean like with the niches that you're focusing on?
Right.
Yeah.
So we don't want to ever become a retail institution that's catering to everyone, but we know we definitely want to become much bigger. And over the past year, what we have been doing is kind of building out our team, getting our brand a little bit more known. And we think that, as you said, social media marketing is phenomenal, because it gets you the opportunity to be in front of as much persons as the guy with the billions of dollars to spend on marketing.
Yeah. So you're really focusing on quality with MFS and MFS Group.
Yes, that's what we're looking to do.
And when you look at your capital stack now, and just your group structure, I mean, there's a fund model like what we see with Cygnus, and there's also just, people have done it both ways. There's the Epley model. Do you find your current strategy is to just have companies maybe give up shares in companies one day, or are you looking at maybe the fund model as well, or just keep it as a straight, company?
I think we're trying to keep it as a straight company. Okay. We're trying to look at persons who want to become who want to get a stake in whatever business we're doing. So it might be that we have opportunities and we want to bring in a group of investors. Everybody will have a stake or have an exposure to this opportunity that we're presenting, and then we move on to the next opportunity. So we really want to keep that private equity model there. Of course, as I said, we're also in investment banking, so there might be fund opportunities that we might create for a particular purpose. But in terms of the
so that
MFS
could be your
group,
conduit for your other companies, other strategies,
yes,
and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got that. And longer term picture, any of these companies that you might look for public markets or to do IPOs with, or that might be down the road?
Well, yeah, it's down the road, but it's definitely is an opportunity that we are always going to be looking at, because to me, that's the ultimate way that as an investor, you're able to extract value from your business, but also to get the wider population to participate in the value within your company.
Yeah. So whether you do that for your different companies or your group company, it's a way you can get the MFS brand more out there in the marketplace.
Yes, there are so many benefits to actually going public, not only in terms of getting the brand out there, but in terms of when you want to move now internationally. The credibility of being listed on a local stock exchange, and actually the due diligence process of getting listed will make your international partners much more receptive to doing business with you.
Yeah, and besides the Cambio remittance business, your investment banking business, the real estate side, is the MFS group or yourself personally, are you doing any corporate philanthropy, or are you giving back to Jamaica? Social causes are playing such a huge role for companies, and persons are really building foundations or building mandates into their brand as well. Have you done anything like that over the last couple of years or since 2014?
Yes, what we have done is that every year we sit as a group and we decide what is it going to be, what our outreach going to be this year. So one year we decided on a program that we call Do Road, where the last Sunday
Do
Road, yeah.
Okay, nice.
The last Sunday.
Seems like a good morale builder as well for the staff and
yeah,
everybody.
Because everybody got the opportunity to get involved. Where the last Sunday of every month, we went on the road and we decided to feed the homeless persons. And we went downtown together as a group, and we gave out care packages to guys on King Street and so on.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and then we would just come back up and have breakfast together.
Okay.
So it builds some team building as long as.
And how often was that again? Sorry.
The last Sunday of every month.
Of every month. And is that something you're still doing now, or?
No. So we choose a different one every year. So
for
this year we decided that we would choose the primary school of a staff member. Of course, we started with my primary school.
Yeah.
We choose primary.
Which one? We didn't speak about that earlier.
Grateful Hill Primary School.
Okay.
Up in St. Catherine. We chose the primary school, and we gave out like care packages. No, not care packages. Sanitizers and cleaning products.
So this is this is during COVID. So
yeah.
This is recent.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well
so
done. Nice.
We chose that a primary school, and we do that. There was a year when we did children's home.
Yeah.
At the time, our group had beauty and personal care, so we had a salon for kids, and we went and we combed the hair of the kids at the children's home, and we gave them like gifts, and we had a treat for them. So every year we choose a different outreach to keep it fresh.
Yes.
And we do something like that.
Have you ever taken so many kids don't get the opportunity to go and see a business? I mean some school kids get to go and see a factory, or go and see business tours at some schools, but do you find like maybe have any of the kids ever said, can we maybe Dino, can we see one of your companies, one of those 9 companies, or see a company that you've activated? Have you ever done that before, or has that ever come up in your idea?
No, we have never done that yet.
Yeah.
But that's a good idea. It's something that we can look at in the future. But one of the things that has been most pleasing is when we, for example, get involved in companies that are like in the inner city, and we are able to employ persons out of those communities.
You've done that, like,
right?
Whether it's an internship or a full time.
Yes. So
really?
we have So when we're in manufacturing and distribution, we
more like at a portfolio company level.
Right.
You bring on somebody.
We bring on someone from the community, and we do as much as we can in terms of community outreach. Whatever community we get involved in, if it's a basic school that is the community, we're always going to contribute to that school and so on. So it's, you know, I think you have to play it forward.
Yes.
So that, you know,
yeah. And I like it. You got to pay it, but I like what you say. You got to play it forward.
Yes.
As well.
Yes. So it's really fulfilling.
And you feel that achievement as well, and you like it because persons really genuinely like recognition.
Yes, and it's overall it's something that I think you do it because of your personal conviction and how you grow up and wanting to give back, but also just to see the impact it has on the life of not just the person but the overall community in which you're operating. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, that's it. Dino, it's a pleasure
Thank
seeing what you
much.
are doing at MFS Group for Jamaicans in Jamaica and really just growing Jamaica and giving back, you know, as you said. It's great. That's it for ItsMoneyMark Experience. We've just had Dino Hinds, the CEO of MFS Group and MFS brand in Jamaica. Dino, really a pleasure having you and growing your brand here in Jamaica.
Thank you very much, Mark.